Hey guys, Saintsfan here, and welcome back to another GTA 5 video. Today, in this one, I wanted to talk to you guys about the brand new bikes that came in yesterday's DLC. This video, I was trying to get it to go up yesterday. Unfortunately, there was just so much stuff to cover, so that's why it's coming out today, so sorry about that. I did want to make sort of a guide for all of the bikes, since there were so many, letting you guys know which ones you should buy and which ones you shouldn't, in addition showing you some speed tests in free roam, on the airstrip in a straight line against some other bikes in the same category. So hopefully by the end of the video you'll have a better idea if you want to buy a certain bike. Now before we actually hop into the biker guide, I want to let you guys know about a website that I use whenever I need money in GTA Online. I've seen a ton of people saying they're broke, so here's a place where you can basically get shark cards for free. Opinion Outpost is the site I'm talking about, and you can earn cash in Amazon cards which can turn into shark cards simply by completing surveys and sharing your opinions on certain topics. So click the link in the description and start taking surveys to make money. Thanks to them for sponsoring this video. On to the bikes now. The first one we're going to take a look at is the Hakuchou Drag. This is the one that got the most attention out of all of them, even though it, in my opinion, was the furthest removed from the central theme of the DLC. But the reason it got all that attention was because the price tag on this bike is absolutely insane. $1 million. And that's without upgrades, that's without customizing it. So this bike is going to net you $1.3, $1.4, maybe even $1.5 million if you constantly change the stuff on it. And the question is it worth it? Now to answer that, and honestly, there's a few things that are going to determine whether or not you think that answer is either yes or no. We'll start with the lap times first, the more traditional stats, I guess, for these bikes. So this bike actually is the quickest in the entire game, and that is including bikes and vehicles. Now that the RE7B and the ETR1 and the Tyrus have been patched, this thing's lap time is 57 seconds, 0.5. So absolutely insane there. And the next best bike is the Baddie, coming in at 59 seconds, 0.3, and then the Akuma is right behind it at 59.64 seconds, and then the Hakuchou is at 1 minute, 0.76 seconds. So it doesn't sound like much, but being 2 seconds faster than both the Baddie, the Akuma, and then even the Hakuchou, that is a pretty big deal. And that alone, if you do races a lot, if you do motorcycle races, this bike is definitely worth it. Now that doesn't really relate that well into free roam, just because racing on a controlled lap, that's not free roam. You know, free roam, there's all these other obstacles. You got to worry about people trying to kill you, cops, and craziness. There's really, in my opinion, only one downside, I guess apart from the price, to this bike, and that's the handling. If I could compare it to a car, I would compare it to the X80. They're both really fast and they kind of look cool, but they both cost a lot of money and their handling is just not that great. They're really stiff to drive, they're hard to turn. So if you're looking for a more agile style bike, this is definitely not the one for you. However, with that being said, this thing absolutely flies. You can see in the tests here on the airport, when we go against the Baddie, the regular Hakuchou, I think we have the Akuma, we have one of the other new bikes, the Defiler. There's a ton of different sport bikes in this group, and this thing blows them out of the water. The only two that are even close is the Baddie and the Hakuchou, the regular one, when they are wheeling. But you can't do that in regular free mode. Like, if you're driving down the streets, that's not going to really matter that much. So for all intents and purposes, the Hakuchou Drag just obliterates all those cars in terms of top speed and even acceleration. This thing's acceleration is ridiculous. It gets out to an incredible start, and then some of the other vehicles kind of catch up a little bit. So to answer one of the questions, is this one of the best bikes in the game? I would say it is. If, and this is kind of a big if, you can handle that stiff handling. If you can't, then you might waste your money, don't buy it, and just stick with the Baddie or the Akuma or the regular Hakuchou. Those are all perfectly fine, and it's not like you're going to be missing out on a ton, but this is one of the best overall packages for a bike. Not only do you have the speed and the performance and the acceleration, but you also have the really awesome liveries and the pretty extensive customization options in the custom shop. Now in these next few tests, you'll see we compared it against certain top supercars. We have the T20, the 811, and the X80, I think even shows up. We also have the RE7B, but that's been patched, so that's not really that relevant anymore, at least in terms of top speed. The 811 is now the king, if you were wondering, in terms of super top speeds, but this thing, it's actually not as bad as the bikes, it seemed, but it still blows these supercars out the water, and only the baddie, that's the only one that does sometimes overtake it depending on the situation. Overall, this Hakuchou drag is one of the best bikes in this DLC, and one other little feature that I'll let you guys know: do not try to wheelie on this bike, because this is the only bike in the entire game where if you try and wheelie, the bike is going to go slower than you would if you leaned forward. If you lean forward, you actually go 5 miles an hour faster on the top speed than if you do pull back and try and wheelie. So, pro tip for you guys out there, if you do have the bike or if you want to buy it, just know that whenever you use it. Final sort of opinion on this bike, I would say to hold off if you're not in dire need of a bike, because there are a few other bikes that are coming out over the next few weeks, and we don't know if they are going to be as good, if not better, than this Hakuchou drag. Because if you remember back to the X80, we all thought it was $2.7 million. It was the fastest vehicle in the game. What car could overtake it? And then 2 weeks later, the 811 came out and it overtook it. And a lot of people wasted $2.7 million. So I don't want that to happen again with this bike, considering there are two other bikes that could potentially overtake it. The Vortex, I believe it's called in the hidden files or in the game files that's not released, and the Tron bike. That's a unknown. I don't know how fast it's going to be, but that's something that could be super fast. So just wait if you're not in dire need of a bike. Plus, you might also get a nice discount in a week or two. Now, next up, what I wanted to do was test out the Chimera against the Street Blazer, the four-wheeler that came with this update. And then I think we also have Trevor's four-wheeler in here just to get a somewhat of a comparison. I'm not gonna lie, that four-wheeler that came in this update is incredible. It is super fast, and in my opinion, it looks amazing. The Chimera, on the other hand, I personally do not like the handling. It's got some speed to it. The handling, it feels weird, and it's really unpredictable. One thing I want to ask you guys, because this has happened a few times on the PS4. It seems like it only happens on the PS4, not on PC or Xbox One when I've tried. But you'll see in the clips, I fall behind. That's not because my bike is less upgraded. My bike is fully upgraded, and all the other people's bikes are fully upgraded. And to see, if maybe I forgot something, we even changed bikes. I used the bike that the other guy was on, and he used my bike. And the same thing happened when we tried the race again. I fell behind by a lot. Does anyone know why that would happen? Is that lag? Is that connection error or something? I really cannot explain it, and I would just like to know why the same two bikes that have all the same upgrades, why when I drive it, it goes much slower than when someone else drives it. But as for those two bikes, I would say buy the Blazer. It's got a lot of good customization. It's not that expensive either. And it's really fast, and I would say maybe hold off on the Chimera just because the handling is it's all weird. And you'll know what I'm talking about if you actually buy it. And another downside to the Chimera is it's actually, I think, $210,000, so it's pretty expensive compared to all the other bikes. Now the last test, and there's only 2 clips of this, but you can get an idea of which one is better. We're testing here the Zombie Chopper, the Rat Bike, and the Western Nightblade. I felt like these were the 3 most popular choices between the more traditional chopper style bikes, and I just wanted to get a comparison and see how each one of them did against each other. The Nightblade actually comes in first, with the Zombie not far behind it, and the Rat Bike, kind of as predicted, falls all the way back. The Rat Bike, if you're going to be buying it, I seriously doubt you're going to be buying it based off of performance. It just looks awesome, so that's why I personally have the vehicle. Honestly though, I was kind of surprised to see the Nightblade come in first and actually take such a big lead over the Zombie. So perhaps you're looking for a chopper style bike that still has some speed. The Nightblade might actually be a pretty good fit for you. The only downside is that the customization is kind of lacking at least compared to the Zombie. The Zombie's got a ton of customization, but I thought that was just an interesting thing to note between what I felt like was the 3 most popular hot chopper style bikes. Anyway, that is it with the video. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy, and hopefully this saves you some money. Again, sorry about it being late, but if just one person out there watched this video and learned some stuff about these bikes that they didn't know, I will be happy. As always, it's your boy Saintsfan, and I'll see you guys in the next one.